Tune in to Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports Jedi Network channel. May the sports be with you. Because I am the hero the Sports Jedi deserves, but not the one it needs right now. Long live Lexus King.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sports Jedi Network. It is NXT, and this is your live reaction recap here on the Sports Jedi Network on a March 10th NXT from the Performance Center, coming off the heels of the Vengeance Day premium live event, where a lot of things were talked about for next week in Houston, possibly setting up for some Stand and Deliver. The road to Stand and Deliver kicks out here for NXT brand, and we are here to break it down and give my honest opinion, my thoughts here tonight. A little bit under the weather, so bear with me. I'm not going to stay on too long. Yes, but I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Of course, we are sponsored tonight by Dude Wipes. Stay match ready, stay clean, stay ready. It's Dude Wipes. Text Dude Wipes, all capital letters, Dude, save 20, and you'll see on there on my video promo, and you'll get a savings as well as G Fuel Energy. Go to gfuelenergy.com. Put PGA Chris 20 and save 20% off. And Blackout Coffee, go out to blackoutcoffee.com/Rumble. Put Rumble, save 20% off on your order on Blackout Coffee, or Sports Jedi 20 and save more. So we say hello to the sponsors, give them a shout out. Let's go. Let's talk about this NXT from Orlando, Florida tonight, where we saw kicking it off with Tatum Paxley starts off the show. We get Tatum Paxley in the ring where she's speaking to the crowd. Look, Tatum Paxley is one of those women that is very, very, very uber over in the Performance Center, watching her. And it's funny because while she was talking to the crowd and believing in herself, Izzy Dane interrupts. And that video package that Izzy Dane played on Tatum Paxley was exactly what I was going to pretty much speak about. I've seen myself and my wife and have gone to the Performance Center and seen her year after year from just in that video package, watching her in the breakout tournament. Other than her tryout, I've seen everything of Tatum Paxley, seeing her growth through the Diamond Mine, not knowing which babyface heel, a little bit of feeling out of trying to find herself, to see what she has accomplished in not even a calendar year, being the NXT Women's Champion, now the North American Women's Champion. Kind of feel good for Izzy Dane. Pretty much, they were trying to put her over, or they did put her over with her where she was to where she is and where she's probably going to be in the future for Izzy and for Tatum. But for Izzy Dane, what's next? She gets an opportunity for the rematch. She comes out with the culling. Tatum Paxley has the numbers games. Do she get help? Does she find help? One of the natural things that I've said but I don't think they'll do it with the collaboration will be the Righteous. The Righteous with Tatum Paxley, oh my goodness, against the culling will feed families. But I don't think they'll go that route. I don't think they're want to collaborate and put them together to work. Will be great, but I don't see that's happening. I don't for Tatum, as we see throughout the show, we see later in the evening where she attacks the culling leaving the building. We're getting a steel cage match in Houston, Texas. They're making a big red carpet for that live event next Tuesday night in Houston, Texas. They're also making it Booker T's Appreciation Night, where, of course, Booker T is from Houston, Texas. The Reality of Wrestling School is out there. I always tell everyone this: if you're an aspiring wrestler or wants to get into the wrestling business, and you have a way of getting to Reality of Wrestling, and that's in that Southeast Texas, I would say if I had my sons wanted to get into business, I would send them immediately to that school. That's one of the best wrestling schools out there, where they don't have to show up at the WWE, but just to see where the impact that they have all around the professional business, Reality of Wrestling, whatever those coaches and I'm down there, they're doing a hell of a job with all the talents. Just wanted to give them a shout out there for Reality of Wrestling down there in Texas. Of course, see like Alejandra Leona wanted to shout you out as well. Denise Day, you've seen, my goodness, some of the ladies that we have interviewed from Reality of Wrestling that one time or another went through those schools to participate back and forth there. Good job there. We get a backstage where we see Old Ego, Ethan Page, Ricky Saints trying to get on the same page, talking about the mishap with the title, why the title you missed, you didn't really give me the title, you slotted the wrong way, and can we coexist type of deal. They're planting the seed of possibly Old Ego, Page, and Ricky Saints. Can they butt heads? Are they still together heels? And funny how they said in this match, whoever pins who gets an opportunity. If he pins the world champion or Ego Page, he's going to want a shot at the NXT title, or vice versa. If Old Ego pins Miles Bourne, he's going to want an opportunity at the North American title. So the person who's taking the pin here, the challenger is going to be challenging for that particular title. Just keep that in mind for the main event. We get a triple threat match where we get Jasper Troy just called out and made a triple threat match against Eli Knight and Sean Legacy. One thing that about this match where I was a little confused, when it comes to Keanu Carver, he really wants a piece of Jasper Troy. He attacks him, he puts him through the table, gets in Booker T's face. Obviously, that's the matchup that they're trying to tell here with those two big monsters. I would have liked to see them in a steel cage next week and pay it off, but they're not going to get that one. We get Jasper Troy coming back in, where interesting, has seen this a double pin. Haven't seen this in quite some time in the WWE, where both Eli Knight and Sean Legacy pin Jasper Troy. The referee awards the match to both of them, which later in the night they want to form as a tag team rather than continue going for the speed. They're going to put the speed title on hold because we've seen that Robert Stone is going to make a tournament. He's making a tournament for tag team titles against the Vanity Project for Stand and Deliver. But throughout the course of the next few weeks, we're going to find out who will be the number one contenders, with the finals taking place at Madison Square Garden, at the theater at Madison Square Garden at the end of the month. One thing that I noticed, I'm like, how much time they're really going to give this tag team tournament. They had a lot of tag teams. We saw, the likes of Hank and Tank. We just made this new form tag team here, Sean Legacy and Lena Knight. We have Dark State. We have, The Calling. We have so many other tag teams. And later on in that evening, Robert Stone announced that both OTM and the Dark State are out of the tournament. Are you kidding me? What are we doing with OTM? If WWE, if NXT does not have any eye for these two men, can we allow them to find an opportunity in TNA to go collaborate and wrestle there? We haven't seen High Rise. I think High Rise was a pretty good tag team. What's the questioning on their back? Why are they being placed in the back burner? Is something that we don't know? Are they not coming on time to the Performance Center, making their promo classes on time? Something behind the scenes is hindering and stopping OTM. That's all I could think of, because their presentation in the ring and their physicality, they seem like, my goodness, they remind me of Doom. I say this each and every week when I do a talk about NXT. They remind me of Doom. They remind me of the Harlem Heat. They remind me of that tag team. Like, oh damn, you don't want to mess with them, and yet they don't get enough television time. They don't even get a sniff at NXT tag team titles. Nothing. You get these kids, the Vanity Projects. I understand they have their future. They believe in them and all that nonsense. But these guys look like they barely got pubic hairs, and they're tag team champions. You got these guys. You gave Hank and Tank an opportunity to be your tag team champions. What's going on with OTM that you removed them from this tournament and you're not giving them the opportunity? Where they shown time and time again that they look like they're a menacing team. They work as a tag team, natural tag teams. This is a problem, an issue that I have with the WWE. They like to make up these makeshift tag teams and take spots of tag team wrestlers. You build these guys as a tag team group for years, and then you decide to put these two wrestlers together. They did it on SmackDown with Priest and Truth. Now they're number one contenders. Where meanwhile you have tag teams, you have a decorative tag team in the Machine Guns, putting them in the closet back burner. Axiom. Here you're seeing OTM, even Dark State. not in this tournament. And I understand this is what something's going to lead to, probably Dark State versus OTM. But we've been seeing them fiddling around on NXT television for a while now. Why do we need that again? Why do we need exclusive and exclude them out of a tag team tournament? But meanwhile, you're okay to putting Hank and Tank, where, you know, let's face it, that's their ceiling. I mean, you have a future here when it comes to Bronco and Prince. What's the holdup here? I don't know. It's got to be something behind the scenes, something that we're not privileged to know for why they're not getting the opportunity, because their TV matches are very strong. They're solid. They're what checks the box of a menacing tag team, young up and coming, where they could build off. And if you wanted to separate them with time, you could see that they both have a physicality look, unique look that, man, yeah, you could work with. They're not your 5'9" guys, like, you know, that you're pushing it and you have them planking all over the place. Where you got he got two guys here that are 6 foot plus, 6'3" plus, that checks the box. I don't get it. I don't see where they're coming from. I don't understand why. So yeah, that's we'll move on to that. We'll see where that goes. We have the No Quarter Catch Club. They come in, they're gonna have a match tonight. Charlie Dempsey and Chervion Heights, they get back together here for the night only. They're taking out the Birthright. They're going to have Connors and Lexis King, where they're telling a story here. Look, reports had it that they were high on David Finlay. He ended up going to Ole Wrestling. David Finlay, the son of Fit Finlay. They look like that was the guy that was going to run this group. It looks like it. If you have, I don't have 100% certainty, but it felt like that was the missing guy that they wanted to bring, put them over the top. They're here tonight. We see Fit Finlay and Regal on the outside coming out from the backstage, where we see Charlie Dempsey turning on Chervion Heights. Joins the group. Now the Birthright continues to get stronger here. Where do they go here? Now it's up to creative, and it's up to them to be entertaining. Lexis King needs this. I think Lexis King needs to get pushed to the next level, but he has to also bring it out within him as a character, as the heel. It kind of feels like he's the leader of the group, but I need him to be uncanny. I need him to be like his dad. And if you're going to embrace this whole Birthright situation with your legacy as a second-generation wrestler, I need you to channel a little bit of the Brian Pillman, the loose cannon. Even if it's the loose cannon Lexis King, I need that from him going forward. A little bit edgier, maybe with his vocabulary, but then is that naturally him? I don't want it to. It's an oxymoron, because I don't want it to feel like it's being forced when it comes to Lexis King, but I also want him to see if he has that in him to be that next level. Maybe he's not. That's not him. Only time will tell when it comes to Lexis King. Stax doesn't fit the bill, because I don't believe he's a second generation wrestler, but he is of course, in a relationship with Adriana Grace, who is your Knockouts champion. And she is a second-generation wrestler. Where they go with this, that is the next staple, the group, the faction that should be running NXT for the course of the summer. And now, again, it's up to all those individuals on that group to make that NXT faction feel special and feel exciting. And one thing NXT knows how to do is faction groups, from the Undisputed Era to Mellow Don't Miss to Metaphor, so forth. They have an opportunity here to make something big when it comes to the Birthright, because we all know their parents. We know the fathers. We know who they are. I would like them to have a crossover with Xia Brookside. I would love some way, somehow, to Xia Brookside to cross over and kind of turn on Ying Lee and add part of the Birthright, part of the group. But I don't know if that's going to happen. And maybe it's just me far-fetching, wanting too much TNA NXT collaboration. I think it works when we have NXT and TNA collaborating on crossover on their shows. I feel the show feels a little exciting. I know tonight the show just felt like a show. It was missing something. Maybe I'm being too conditioned to want to see the crossovers from the two companies too much. Maybe I gotta start conditioning myself that that's just special occasion from time to time, because they did so much collaborating last year and they haven't collaborated quite some time since we had the Knockouts Tag Team title match up there when we had the Elegance brand defend their Knockouts title. We haven't seen any TNA collaboration other than the title tonight from Adriana Grace, but talent wise, we haven't seen any matches. We'd like to see what happens there. One thing tonight, if you have a car and Shiloh Hill's around, you might have your car on cinder blocks, as he put cinder blocks on there to prevent people from leaving. Interesting there with Shiloh Hill, what repercussions Robert Stone will have against him. Only time will tell. Tony D'Angelo cuts a promo. He gets in the middle of the ring, talks about his mission statement, how he was a year ago and how he is now. He will actually, to make a long story short, he wants an opportunity at the NXT World's title. Now, Tony D'Angelo kind of feels he is a rogue, renegade wrestler. Don't know if he's a babyface or is a heel. He's a tweener, but you've seen him have helped Joe Hendry in the past, but now he's calling Joe Hendry out. Interesting to see he wants an opportunity to stand deliver. He hasn't qualified as a number one contender, especially with the main event scene tonight. Where do we go here with the number one contender for stand and deliver, especially when you have Houston coming up for NXT coming up next Tuesday and Madison Square Garden? I don't know if they want to tip their hands and jump ahead of stuff where you don't want to mention anything. You have to fill 2 weeks of television, but you also got to sell the seats in the arena at the St. Louis Auditorium. You got to make sure people get in there, and you got to make sure people want to buy their tickets for stand and deliver. So it's interesting the way NXT is doing things right now, because they're going to be on the road for a couple of weeks and then they're going to stand and deliver. They gave the Performance Center their PLE and tonight, and now they're going to go on the road. I understand. I can see that now. Now they have a little bit of patience, Orlando faithful. You won't be seeing your NXT talent for a little bit here as they go on the road. Oh, now we're going to hear the true fans. We're going to hear how true a lot of these wrestlers are over outside of the Performance Center. The comfort zone and the bubble of the Performance Center is out the window. Now we're going to see if you're really over in Texas, in New York, in St. Louis. So interesting to see how NXT is going to do that going forward. Moving on here. We get it. A Wren Sinclair promo where you see Miles Bourne looking for Joe Hendry, of course, with Kendall Gray. Joe Hendry comes out as they call their name behind, scares them. She's eating cake, Kendall Gray, where Miles Bourne and Joe Hendry are getting together on the same page together as on this main event tonight. A lot of implication on the main event tonight. I'll jump into this one: the Sol Ruca versus Lainey Reed. I could have sworn the triple threat was on tonight. I misread it. I misinformed. I apologize if I thought they were going to have that triple threat title for the JC Jane's title, the NXT Women's Champion. Good match for Lainey Reed. I thought the match was a little long, but why not if Lainey Reed doesn't get a lot of television time? One thing that hampered and bothered and held back a little bit of Jasmine Nix in her ring development was not getting a lot of television time. Jasmine Nix commanded more attention when she had the opportunities in the ring, but Lainey Reed is the better wrestler. Lainey Reed is the much more polished, much more accomplished wrestler, but the more attracting viewership was Jasmine Nix. It's weird. And Lainey Reed is no slouch. She's a hell of a wrestler there. Some of the moves that she put out there tonight against Sol Ruca, I mean, my goodness, any other competitor, she would have easily gotten that victory. But she's in there with Sol Ruca. They're telling the story where Sol Ruca, where actually Lainey Reed is actually doing a favor for the Fatal Influence group by taking Sol Ruca and putting her to the brink of a big test. I love the fact with the knee lift. I like the fact how Sol Ruca finished it with the Soul Snatcher after just barely getting out of some of Lainey Reed's hot attacks. Good match there. Good victory there for Sol Ruca, but I swear Lainey Reed went over without going over. Her match, good job, ladies. Just was a little bit. They could have shortened the match just a little bit more, but before I say that, and I'm saying it now, Lainey Reed needs more bumps and more in-ring time. So you, damn if you do, damn if you don't. So with that comment, but good job there. I thought the match was very entertaining for both ladies. I really enjoyed it. To see Lainey Reed getting more television time. Look, that's the one reason that's holding Fatal Influence from being called up. I think Lainey Reed, if she could get up to par, or if they're willing to leave her as a lone wolf, you could bring up Fallon Henley and JC Jane after WrestleMania, and they won't bat an eye. I think they'll fit that SmackDown scene or even Monday Night Raw scene so well. You got history with Vicaire. You got history with Vicaire wanting to get her victory over JC Jane. They could go that route. Roxanne Perez. There's a lot of good stuff there. That's why I think Monday Night Raw fits more. Although SmackDown could really use the lady talent, in there to really help boost their storytelling there, for Jade and for Tiffy and so forth. Especially because you don't want to recycle too much Meacham and BFAB too much. You want fresh ladies there. They will fit SmackDown, but there's more story, more meat on the bone in Raw. But we'll see right now. Let's enjoy JC Jane and Fallon Henley while we have them on NXT television, night in, night out. For them, for next week, we're going to find out that we're getting into that triple threat number one contenders. So one thing that I didn't appreciate with the camera angles, while they went away, we had Zarya in the background. She was in the background of JC Jane and Fatal Influence and while Soul was on the top of the ring, they briefly went away from it. That's one thing that production never does a mistake. I wish they would emphasize Zarya in the back, just waiting to pounce. And I thought she was going to attack the girls, but she didn't. They went away. They fade to black into a commercial. They had a number one contenders, women's speed, or the finals of the speed tournament. Wren Sinclair got an impressive victory on Thea Hale. Now, Thea Hale, if you saw her social media account, I felt bad for her. I've seen Thea Hale from her inception when she came to the WWE, NXT 2.0, part of Chase U. Of course, when she was supposedly graduating high school and she was going to pick a college, if you remember that scenery with her, and watching her grow up into what she is now. And I felt so heartbreaking where her on her social media account when she was just bearing her soul and how fans are wicked on the IWC with her and the dislike. And she is a real person on the other side to, words kind of hurted her. With Thea Hale, the start with her in WWE in creative, it needs to be examined. She wins the North American title regardless if she knocked the air out of Blake Monroe and Blake didn't kick out. You had a nice opportunity, a nice title run. The people received it. She had that golden moment, the shine, and I'm afraid it's not going to come back for her. I hope she doesn't give up. I hope she perseveres. I will always be cheering for her. Didn't like the Chase U gimmick too much. I'm not a big fan of Chase U, but I didn't like it too much. But I'm a fan of Thea. To see her put on a good match with Wren Sinclair, and Wren needs an opportunity to get that next push, especially going into Houston. I like the fact that after the Kimura lock that she had on, Wren cut out and countered it into her Wren lock for the victory. That's awesome wrestling right there. And it's a 3-minute speed match. The ladies really did a good job in those 3 minutes. Thea Hale has never been a bad in-ring. If you look at Thea Hale's matches, when we thought she was going to win the NXT title from Tiffany Stratton at that time, my God, that was a banger of a match where I think the IWC or the wrestling community, in the Performance Center really wanted Thea Hale to beat Tiffany Stratton because it was that much of a match. She was really over. And Thea, there is talent in Thea Hale. I think I don't know what is missing from her because I don't know if it's going heel. I think Thea is like this beloved babyface that she has to stay babyface. I don't know what she does heel-wise that's going to take her over the top. I think Thea Hale is a babyface where people want to rally and love to go cheer behind her. I don't know what's missing for Thea Hale. I really wish I knew. I know there's something there that they could take her to the next level of just being a star in an NXT brand. How far does it get it? I don't know if she gets the main roster, guys. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if she's main roster talent that they look at. And if they're not sure with that, why not? Why not have Thea Hale do a run in AAA or in TNA? Utilize those tools down there. Let her see something different, a different style in AAA against La Toxicas, Famer. Give opportunity. Maybe she picks up something different. They could unlock the character, something from another fan's perspective, or even TNA with different coaches. different booking, a different atmosphere with different talents, different vibe. Where you see look at how Tatum Paxley with her confidence after winning the title. She feels so confidently in herself and just shows that she's taking. And the same thing with JC Jane. Those ladies seem to be confident after title runs, winning titles. Why not Thea Hale a nice run elsewhere? If you want to still keep her in the NXT, she's so young, 22 years old. Want to keep her in the NXT brand? You don't release them. You exploit them. You have them exploit other opportunities within your collaboration to see what you have. You don't give up. You try to see if you could try to elevate and try to bring something out of Thea Hale, in my opinion. Good match there for the ladies for the speed. Wren Sinclair, Fallon Henley. It looks like the beginning of the end for Fatal Influence to start moving up. If that's the case, where I could see Wren winning that speed title in front of her home in Texas and in Houston, in front of the Booker T appreciation crowd, which is she is a former Booker T student from Reality of Wrestling, like Roxanne Perez, like Eli Knight, and so many more that are all across, sprinkled across professional wrestling that I mentioned a few minutes ago. All in all, this was the main event time. Let me get to the main event where we get All Ego Page and Ricky Saints teaming up, and they go up against your babyface champions, Joe Hendry and Miles Bourne. Miles Bourne continues to work. He was the workman of the match, getting to that hot tag where Joe Hendry comes in. The belt situation where they keep teasing where they cannot get on the same page, no pun intended, when they toss the belt in for the heels to use as they're striking. This time around, the title did come into play where we get a tag, a blind tag from Ego Page on Ricky Saints. Ricky Saints didn't feel the tag. Ricky Saints was going to set up Joe Hendry for Rochambeau, and out comes Miles Bourne, drop kicks Ricky Saints out of the ring. The referee, of course, tries to get Law and Order and take Miles Bourne out of the ring, and boom, right on there, the twist and grin onto the title for Joe Hendry, where Ego gets the 1-2-3 pin. Now I can see next week All Ego, Ethan Page calling for the world title match, and Ricky Saints thinking he's getting the world title picture, but then he's gonna say, "I got the pin, I'm the champion, you didn't." So could there be a deception, a ruse? Could we see a triple threat? Wouldn't be surprised if we see a triple threat where we get the three participant. I mentioned earlier on the watch along, I could see a fatal four-way where it's Miles Bourne, where Shawn Michaels loves this ladder match, fatal four-way ladder match, and put the titles up there. I wouldn't be surprised if we do the fatal four-way with both titles on the line, on strapped up, and whoever gets the two titles become your champions. I could see something crazy. They need to do a ooh and ahs for St. Louis. They got to move tickets. They got to sell tickets. They got to make the main event something big, something exciting, something that you want to tune in to stand and deliver. It's going to be on its own. They're not going to be part of WrestleMania weekend. They're not going to pick up the sugar high or the enthusiasm of WrestleMania. So this is a big stand and deliver. And also, we don't know what platform it's on. And the Peacock's deal, I think, runs out on the 23rd. They haven't spoken about an extension for NXT or for on Peacock. Could we see NXT go to possibly that one on YouTube and internationally on Netflix, or do they announce Paramount? If I'm WWE, I'm announcing Paramount Plus for NXT. Bring that over there. Don't know. Nothing is said. Nothing is heard. I haven't heard any rumors or anything. I know that the deal is up, so we don't know. They'll probably end up going at ESPN with it, because let's face it, for $29.99, you might as well add the NXT brand onto the NXT ESPN Plus app. It's quite expensive. You might as well put the NXT PLEs there as well. So all in all, tonight I thought NXT was a really strong show. It had a good moments. It had moments that I was like, okay, a couple matches weren't so enthusiastic. The crowd was okay. The crowd was fine. That's your normal Tuesday night Orlando, Florida Performance Center faithfuls that are there. They'll always cheer for their heroes in the ring. They always bring that energy for their heroes and the appreciation of everyone in the ring that goes out there to perform, whoever puts on the show on Tuesday nights from the NXT brand. I enjoyed it tonight. It was a good, solid. I'll say it's a good B. If you want to put a letter grade, it's 7.5. If you want to go there, because nothing was wow, no wow factors. It wasn't super pedestrian safe. It was just an NXT brand show that it's gonna leave you into next week. I gotta watch now what Soruka, how she's feeling after that. The Izzy Dane, that got me excited. Izzy Dane and Tatum Paxley in the steel cage. That's a steel cage on the road in Texas. That's gonna be a fun one. We also got one thing that I didn't agree. We're getting the Vanity Project is gonna take on the Americanos. Kaiser and Rayo and Bravo. You want to see? Yeah, I know they want to put some main talent rosters on that Texas show on Tuesday night. I don't know. The Americanos are you going to have them job to the to Vanity Project? That's just my only thing. We'll see how that goes. And there'll probably be some more run-ins. Remember, I want to shout out Wrestling Fan who remind me that last time they were in Texas, this is where Trick Williams got chokeslammed by The Undertaker. So I'm not saying we're seeing Undertaker and Trick Williams, but they always do something special along the lines. Maybe Booker T appreciation, something with Keanu Carver. Something with Keanu Carver, Booker T could be brewing there. So who knows? This was a good NXT. Interesting to see what the fallout is for next week as they continue to build. They're building here for Stand and Deliver. They're building for the Madison Square Garden show. That will be the finals of the tag team tournament and so forth. Again, if you haven't heard from us, please follow us on X at Sports Jedi Media, at PGA Chris TV. We're on Discord, Sports Jedi Network. Follow us on our Discord. We keep the conversation going on our Discord platforms as well. Of course, you follow us on Rumba. If you're on where we could watch the program with us, you're able to see the wrestling with us. If you can't, be able to watch it, you could watch it, or you are traditional watch-alongs when we have here on YouTube and so forth. Like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tolerating me. I'm a little bit under the weather. Wasn't feeling well to go power through this. Appreciate you guys. Tomorrow night, Chris will have the reaction live from the go-home show of AEW Dynamite. Yes, a lot of good stuff coming out of there. That's the go-home show for AEW Revolution, and then we'll be doing the TNA watch-along on the Rumble app. You can watch it with us and break everything down. For me, I want to say thanks, everyone. Appreciate everyone. Thank you so much. May the sports be with you. Have a wonderful Tuesday night, guys.